Won't most people think of New York, Chicago, or Los Angeles first for an American expansion? Why Atlanta?
New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles and maybe Houston are the cities that are very well known internationally, but since the Olympics, Atlanta is also very well known internationally. Now, why would you choose Atlanta? It's three things. It's a quality of life for the people you bring from overseas who are going to live here. It is absolutely transportation, which is the cornerstone of all economic development. And then the other thing is there are a lot of excellent economic incentives in Atlanta. Let me talk about transportation first, because that truly is the root of all economic success, and so your business will be successful where there's good transportation. International company, one of the first things they think is the airport. We have the busiest airport in the world, which means it's the most efficient airport in the world. Tell me I got to go to the busiest airport, I want to put a sharp stick in my eye. You know, it's no fun being there. But the reality for an international company, if you locate people here, is the executive they bring in or the salesman they bring in that is going to travel by plane. So let's make that clarification. If they're traveling by plane, that person costs that company typically about $500,000 a year. You can go to the Atlanta airport at 7 in the morning and get on a flight that's direct or with one stop to about 75% of the businesses in North America, not just the Southeast United States, or internationally. You can get to that country, I'm talking about on our hemisphere, in the same day. You can actually be home that night from North America and be home the next day if you travel to the southern hemisphere. What that means to the international company is they need half as many of those $500,000 people. It's a tremendous savings. What about moving their goods and services? Okay, the Port of Savannah is the 4th largest port in America, but it's one of the most efficient ports in North America. And we don't have one port, we actually have 3. We have the Port of Savannah, the Port of Brunswick. They're under common management, so together they're one of the largest ports in the country, and they work very efficiently with each other. Okay? In between, and most people don't realize that, we have Kings Bay Nuclear Subbase. Okay? Of course it keeps our ships safe. That's a joke. Okay? But because Kings Bay Nuclear Subbase is there, and we have military bases in Jacksonville, Florida, what ends up happening is there's an extremely efficient, well-managed tracking and management system for these ships to move around those ports and come in and out. And then the ports, because the river isn't the biggest river in the world, they're very, very efficient on the land side. They get the materials off the ships faster, onto the trucks or train, and they move them. And then Atlanta and Georgia have been very, very visionary in creating an incredible highway system to travel throughout pretty much the United States west of the Rockies very efficiently. So from the time the ship queues up in the line out in the ocean to the time the goods are on the shelf or in the warehouse, maybe in Kentucky or Indiana, is a much shorter time than using the other ports. Okay?
Tell me about economic development support in Georgia.
Well, first let me say that when internationals think of Atlanta, I think they really mean the state of Georgia. Atlanta is a city and it has city limits, but internationally think of everything from the Port of Savannah to the mountains in the north to the beaches in the south. All of that is being quote-unquote Atlanta because that was the image from the Olympics. Atlanta, besides the city limits of Atlanta, there are many suburban cities, and the state of Georgia has an excellent program to support businesses who want to come to Georgia. The city of Atlanta, within its city limits, has an excellent program, and a lot of these little suburban cities, most people don't realize, also have tax incentives and labor incentives and assistance with labor pool, just as the state of Georgia and Atlanta do, to assist. Now, the challenge to the international company when they come in is which one do you pick? Because each one of those little communities I've talked about is looking out for their own interests. The state of Georgia is statewide, but those incentives are on a very large level for the biggest companies. The city of Atlanta has very excellent programs, but they're for people who want to locate in the city limits of Atlanta. If you go to Sandy Springs or Gwinnett County, or you go south of town to these little cities, they're looking out for themselves. So how do you get the best value, and how do you know to evaluate those things? That's why you would come to a company like Ackerman and to a guy like me. Start with myself a little bit, not to brag, but I've got over 30 years of experience in engineering for site selection and working with many different kinds of industries on what their needs are, so what their buildings should look like, what their transportation needs are, access to housing, things like that. I do a detailed analysis, much more than the typical real estate agent, to look at your business, whether it's retail or office space need or industrial need or just land for development. And what do you need? If you need tractor-trailer transportation, that's going to be different than if you have a lot of executives in an office. Do you need access to blue-collar labor who's going to work in a factory, or do you need access to executives to work in a data center or something like that? Understanding those things is going to set where in town you may want to be. We know all of the towns and all of the incentives, so we know who's got the best programs. And, I can do an analysis of your business and then guide you on perhaps where the best places would be for you to go. Now, when it comes to settling in those good places, we get back to Ackerman. Ackerman's been in business almost 50 years in Atlanta. Between our investment and development side that actually builds the real estate for ourselves or other people, and our brokerage, we're responsible for building, project managing, or brokering a vast majority, I shouldn't say majority, but an awful lot of the real estate around Atlanta, including the sprawl. Some people think sprawl is bad. It gives you a lot of space to do a lot of things. We're not locked in like some of the northern cities. Ackerman also has excellent relationships with these governments and these economic incentive programs. And then between myself and Ackerman, if you need lawyers who understand our law and German law, our law and Chinese law, etc., we're not bound to one particular thing like a city might be. And we can put together a team that will look at all of the things you need, locate you in the right place, with the right transportation and labor pool and quality of life for you and your employees, to basically provide an excellent platform for success, not just to get you cheap space, which is what a lot of brokers unfortunately do. Especially, you want to be careful of, if you're coming in and you don't know the city, you want to work with a broker who's got your best interests at heart. So you want a broker representing you as a buyer's agent and not just work with the brokers representing the properties. Because just like the cities, they're going to try to put you into their city or into their building. If we're working for you, which doesn't cost you any more, by the way, we're very competitive in our pricing, we will put you in the best location. If I don't have the right expertise, a lot of gray hair around Ackerman, we work as a team. Doesn't cost you any more. We split the commission internally, and it's a win-win-win anyway. So, the other thing is, a lot of people like the arts. You want to go to the theater, or you want to go to the symphony. You have that on several different levels in Atlanta. If you like the Broadway plays, we have the Fox Theater, and we've got some other smaller theaters that put on those kinds of presentations. In New York, you can go every day. Atlanta, you've got to kind of go see it when it's here, but it absolutely is available. You like the symphony, we have a world-class symphony orchestra here. We have world-class stage plays at the Alliance Theater and the Woodruff Arts Center, where the symphony is located. I just saw the other night a bunch of classical singers in a church venue that was from Georgia State University, and that is perhaps one of the best values and most extraordinary types of entertainment if you like live performance that you get in Atlanta. We've got Georgia Tech, we've got Emory, we've got Georgia State University, we've got the University of Georgia, and they have these extraordinary students and talents, and they bring in musical troops and dance troops, and they bring in drama troops, from all over. And the beauty of it is it's a tremendous bargain. You don't have to spend a $150 ticket to be entertained. Some of these things you can do for $10 or $15. And I could go on and on and on. It's all available in Atlanta. Perhaps we're in our late teenage years when it comes to world-class entertainment. But contrary to some smaller cities that may seem like a better value, again, it's quality of life. All of these things are available here.